celebrating women who make a difference.
As PBS launches its new series on trailblazing women, we highlight 3 of our own.
Local groundbreakers, largely unknown to many of us, but shaping our community outside of the spotlight.
Principal funding for the local show provided by Francis Family Foundation, Frederick and Louise Hartwig Family Fund, Kaufman Foundation, Healthcare Foundation of Greater Kansas City, Johnson County Community College, John and Effie Spees Memorial Trust, Bank of America trustee, Richard J. Stern Foundation for the Arts, Commerce Bank trustee, and KCPT members. Thank you.
Hello everyone, I'm Nick Haynes.
And I'm Randy Mason. Welcome to The Local Show. We'll also be joined this half hour by Pam James, who produced KCPT's segments on women who've made a difference.
But first, we should point out why we're doing this. Next week, KCPT joins with PBS in launching an unprecedented look at the astounding contributions women have made to the advancement of America with the broadcast premiere of the documentary series Makers, Women Who Make America.
The landmark multi-platform initiative, co-produced by PBS and AOL, chronicles the important advancements made by women over the past 50 years.
Here's a preview.
Honey, when was the last time you baked a cake?
Last week, dear.
I was brought up in the Betty Crocker era. You had to get married and you had to have a child.
That's what it was about, to meet the guy, to get married, to have babies, to be the president of the PTA.
Every place I went for interviews, the only thing they wanted to know was, can you type?
Your high score on the Scholastic Aptitude Test indicates that you can become a good secretary.
Landlords felt single women couldn't earn enough to pay for the apartment, and if you could earn enough, you must be a hooker.
What we are talking about is a revolution and not a reform.
It was exhilarating. It was also somewhat torturing because we were breaking new ground. It turned out that it was easier to kick down the door than to transform society.
The American people saw what the movement was all about, and they said no thanks.
Somehow you end up doing all the laundry and 90% of the grocery shopping.
We need to live in a world where men do half, women let them do half, and being a parent's not a full-time job for a woman and a part-time job for a man.
In order to get people's attention, you gotta blow a loud trumpet.
The women's movement is the biggest social movement in the history of the planet Earth.
Makers, Women Who Make America premieres Tuesday night at 7 on KCPT. So in the spirit of celebrating women and their contributions, KCPT invited you to nominate groundbreaking women who've sparked change in our community. The votes are in, and this half hour on The Local Show, we're going to introduce you to 3 inspiring women who've made a difference in our metro. Actually, we had more than 50 nominations. Senior producer Pam James put together the profiles, but how did you actually select 3?
Well, it wasn't easy on my part, but it was really helpful by the voting of the community at large. We had people who voted online. We had actual petitions signed and mailed in to us, and we had people calling in if they didn't have access to the internet. And each one of those garnered the different votes. And how we ultimately decided was through an independent panel and ourselves that we decided that we would choose a better cross-section of the city and the community of women at large. So we chose the best social services person, the best entrepreneurial person, and the best civil services person. And when I say best, it's really the top vote getter.
All right. Well, our first local maker, as you'll see, is Suzanne Gladney of Legal Aid of Western Missouri. Up until now, she's not received much recognition for her work, but Suzanne has spent more than 30 years as a legal aid attorney, assisting undocumented workers and migrant families in our Kansas City region.
I love immigrant populations and learning more about them, spending time with people, talking to them about other things other than their immigration issue. I graduated from law school and applied to legal aid programs and was hired here in Kansas City at Legal Aid of Western Missouri. About every second or third person that would come in was asking about immigration. The stock answer that I heard the secretary say over and over again was, we don't do that. And after about, 3 or 4 weeks, I said to my boss, if I kept up doing what I'm doing right now and started learning about immigration, could I do that? And he's like, oh, sure you could do that. And then probably 6-8 months later, started taking a few cases here and there, and now for really the last 35 years, that's what I've been doing, so. I never thought of Missouri as a migrant state. You think of migrants, you think of Texas and Florida and California. As I was doing immigration law, I became more aware that there were migrants here, coming through here. Started looking at some of the government statistics and discovered that there wasn't any statistics showing that there were migrants here, which is a big issue for your state if you don't have that kind of documentation, because then the various service agencies that serve migrants don't get any extra funding for that. So school districts in rural areas that are serving hard-to-serve migrant children don't get extra help. Healthcare facilities don't get extra help with folks that may have very serious issues and are only available for a short time. So decided to establish the Migrant Farm Workers Project. It is a separate 501c3 corporation inside of legal aid, but we also provide a wide number of social services, food assistance and educational assistance, some healthcare assistance that is not a typical legal aid function. I still do immigration work and other legal work for migrant workers as well. It's a very interesting population of people that are often here for short periods of time doing different crops. Some of the migrants are people we will never see again. They're here for one migrant season and we don't see them again. Part of our philosophy is not doing everything for them, but trying to help make sure that they know how you walk into a clinic and write your name down to tell them you're there, rather than us just going up and writing it down, so that they hopefully, when they're in the next place, will have a better sense of how to do things themselves, and helping them realize that they have a right to do some of these things, that they don't have to always be subjugated or think of themselves as not part of a community. That's another thing with migrants. They're really not part of a community anywhere. And so it's very hard for them, especially if it's a place they've never been before. They don't know where anything is. They're outside of town, miles off the last paved road usually. Many of them don't have their own transportation, so it's really hard for them to get places. And when they get there, they don't really know where they can go or what to do. So trying to help people feel more empowered and understand how to do things themselves. It's really important that migrant young people grow up being sure that there are other options for them. Many, many, many migrant kids grow up to be migrant workers themselves. That's a lifestyle that they've known. They're accustomed to moving to 4 to 5 schools a year, being constantly on the move, not really having any permanent home anywhere. They are always behind. For example, don't know fractions, and you're trying to help them with some math problem, and they'll be like, look, lady, do you know, in Florida they teach fractions in 3rd grade, in Texas they teach it in 4th grade, I just never got it. I was never there when they were talking about it. So there's lots of things like that, cursive writing, and I feel like it's really important that we help them know that there are other options available and that we help them succeed in school. And we're helping them in tutoring. We have a tutoring program twice a week. We have a youth group for teenage kids. We took 4 kids on a college visit 2 weeks ago. Working with the future of any population, I think, is really important work to do. My mom too, to some extent, but my dad would always say that service is the rent you pay for living, and was always helping different restaurant employees with their children's dental work or different things. We were always having people we didn't know at Thanksgiving, or people around that, we didn't know, that as a kid you're sort of like, don't quite understand why these people are suddenly sitting here at our table, but that's what you grow up with. You either you either take that in or you rebel against it, and it seemed like something that both my sister and I took in and have done a lot of service work.
Coming up next, we profile 2 more groundbreaking Kansas City women we're celebrating this half hour in conjunction with the PBS series Makers, which chronicles the advancement of women in America over the past 50 years. Closer to home, in 1978, frustrated that they couldn't join business organizations and private clubs reserved for men only, a small group of women came together to form the Central Exchange.
Today, the Central Exchange is celebrating its 35th year as the Metro's most prominent women's advocacy and business networking organization. Nick is with its president and chief executive, Cece Rojas.
And when I say the president and chief executive, I mean brand new president and chief executive. You've been on the job barely a few days.
That's correct.
Now, when you think about today, when there's so many other opportunities for women, is there a need for a Central Exchange?
Oh, absolutely. I would, speaking on behalf of our 900 members, I would say that they all believe that there's a very strong value proposition for them as members. We are still doing cutting-edge programming. We're in the process of developing even more. I think programming that not just women, but I think men would be interested in as well.
Now, I was fascinated 2 years ago. You came out with a study that was looking at, there was only 7% of women in the corporate boardrooms, the board of directors of the publicly traded companies in Kansas City, only 7% of women in corporate executive positions in Kansas City. That was less than half the national average. And you came up with this win-win initiative that was trying to get to 20%, 1 in 5 positions in those corporate boardrooms dedicated to women, and 1 in 5 corporate executive positions dedicated to women. 2 years on, how are you doing with that initiative, Cece?
Well, I think that we are putting together a strong foundation to be able to reach our goal. I think the progress has been slow. I don't know that that's necessarily anything to do with win-win initiative. Just I think it has more to do with that Kansas City is just falling behind, and we're not as progressive in this area as we probably should be. We've had some good news recently, though. As a matter of fact, Great Plains Energy, or KCP&L, just elected women to their board of directors in the past week. So we are seeing some change, and more importantly, more of a proactive kind of stance, in regards to how we identify and seek out those women that are more than qualified to serve on corporate boards and in the C-suite.
It seems like a huge jump when we were at 7% of corporate boardrooms, 7% of the CEOs in Kansas City that were women, to get to 20%. But I was looking through some of the material here. That might be only, though, just one additional woman joining the board that could actually get you to 20%.
Well, that's true, because the numbers aren't quite as big.
Yep.
I mean, you're looking at a smaller pool of numbers. But still, we know that we do have some work to do, and we're very committed and passionate about making sure that we achieve our goal.
Well, Cece Rojas, thank you so much for being with us on The Local Show.
Thank you for having me.
Next on The Local Show, Dodie Jacoby, an area entrepreneur, made the cut when we asked on our website, in our KCPT member guide, and on Twitter and on our Facebook page, who should be celebrated on KCPT as a woman who's making a difference in our metro.
Dodie, for decades, has been deeply involved in revitalizing Kansas City's historic neighborhoods by promoting entrepreneurship and the development of small businesses in the Crossroads, the West Side, and Hyde Park.
I help small business owners plan to create the business that they want, and then I mentor them to assure they're successful. I am the profile of my client. I have a degree in singing. I don't have a degree in business. My first business was a production company focused on the event industry, and I learned everything about business through the School of Hard Knocks and really cool opportunities, and was constantly watching for lessons along the way so that I could replicate what worked and avoid what didn't. At one point, one of my clients in the industry asked me to help them build their business, and one thing led to another. I really found I loved sharing what I'd learned with others to help them not have as hard a time. I like to make the fun parts more so and the hard parts less so. I was raised in a family that was real active in the community and operated a janitorial business. And by the way, we didn't run the janitorial business, we were the janitorial business. So, you know, I've cleaned toilets and delivered invoices since I was in the 4th grade. Oh, as a kid, I really had lots of aspirations, and I could never decide. You know, you like to role play as a child. I could never decide what I wanted to be. So when I played, I would pretend that I was a flight attendant, but we had a live floor show. So I could work in all of these careers at once. Yes, my mother told me I would need 19 lives to get all the careers I had in mind in this lifetime. And as it turns out, through the work I do, I am metaphorically playing all of these roles. In any given day, I might be dyeing fabric metaphorically. I might be making a toy. I might be crafting stone. And it's a very rewarding way to spend the day. At the end of any day, I have no idea what tomorrow will bring, and I love that adventure. As a woman in the consulting profession, you know, I've forged what works for me in my life. And I hope what I am doing is creating an example of possibility for others. Because if I try to, quote, be successful in a man's world, that sort of thing, I'm not going to be successful playing a game that doesn't belong to me. So in my own career, I have responded a lot to where the opportunity lies and disregarded what doesn't open for me easily. That said, I have worked in very male-dominated fields, but I think what I bring and what a lot of women bring is that new feminism that's becoming more permissible in a business setting, the intuition, a willingness to honor what the men call gut and what women call intuition. And I think that's what makes anyone most successful, is when we build around our strengths, regardless our gender. What I found makes people happy in their business is first being aware of what quality of life they want. Why on earth are we building a business if not to create the quality of life that we uniquely desire? They want to create that life doing work that is meaningful to them, that gives them energy. And the third requirement is that they're building it in a way that the market responds to support both of those aspects. I enjoy helping them find the way to meet all 3 requirements because I know it's possible. I live that quality of life myself, but it is that combination of what quality of life do you want, what gives you energy, and where's the market opportunity to support those things financially. The clients who strive for that are the ones that are finding the greatest reward. I have another phase that's about to come that I'm really excited about that will be actually broadcasting the work I do with my clients. And I can't wait to see how that unfolds. You know, I'm so energized by the internet. A couple of years ago, I was really content. I felt like I had everything I wanted in my life. And I took a book called The Alchemist and another book called The 4-Hour Workweek on a trip to Mexico, and I came back with a whole new vision for myself and others and realized at last there was a way to do what I do on a broader scale without compromising my quality of life. So I find that amazing, and I can't wait to play with it more. The more I play, the more it responds as, yes, this is very possible and very rewarding.
You know, what's gratifying about these nominations is that these are not your usual suspects. We're hearing about women who are making a difference, oftentimes away from the public eye. But there were more well-known names among the nominations. Nick?
That's right, Randy. If you go to our website, you're going to see the names of people like former mayors Kay Barnes and Carol Marinovich, who, by the way, just received Lifetime Achievement Awards for their contributions to the community from the Urban Land Institute. Nominated too was regional power player Kathleen Sebelius, the former Kansas governor, now health secretary in the Obama administration. There were lots of worthy nominees, some we've already featured on the local show, like Sister Berta Saylor, who's doing remarkable work for the children served at Operation Breakthrough. Pastor Alice Piggy Wallach, who's giving her life to the inner city homeless. And then there's Dr. Sharon Lee, the medical doctor who claims a $14 an hour salary, the same as the janitor at her Southwest Boulevard Family Health Clinic. We profile her story on the local show March 21st.
Right now, though, we profile our third local maker. And it is a woman who repeatedly has bumped and bumped against the glass ceiling before smashing through it.
Our maker spent 30 years on the Kansas City, Missouri police force. And while you may not have heard her name or may have ever heard her story, Ramona Arroyo is the first Hispanic woman to become a sergeant with the Kansas City Police Department.
When I was a senior in high school, the Kansas City, Missouri Police Department offered a course called Student in the Law. That was about 1974. I was at Bishop Lillis High School. As part of the class curriculum, we were allowed to go on a ride-along. I remember the officer that I rode with, Dennis Gargado. We had a hold-up alarm on Southwest Boulevard. And he said, "Oh, this is going to be a good one." He said, "because we don't ever get these." We pull up to the scene, and these officers all come out with their shotguns, armed, guns. And I'm like, wow, this is cool. I'd never seen anything like that before. And sure enough, there's these guys coming out of the building, and they're yelling and screaming at them, and they're not doing anything. And I told the officer, I said, "Well, I don't think they understand what you're saying." And he said, "What do you mean?" I said, "Well, they're Mexicans. They don't speak English." He said, "You speak that stuff?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "Well, tell them." So I'm yelling, "Policía, manos para arriba, volteanse." I'm giving all these commands. They dropped everything, put their hands up, turned around, and it turned out to be that they had just arrived. They were looking for a place to eat. It's something that could have turned out really bad was resolved, and it was the communication, and I was hooked. My family wouldn't have it. My mom was like, "No." I know my oldest sister made me go to college. Then I graduated with a Bachelor of Arts in English. And I went on to work different civilian jobs, but I really wanted to be a cop. And I just kept begging my mom, "Mom, please, please let me be a cop." And I know I was an adult, but I still had to do what my mom said. And finally, when she gave me her blessing, I went for it. Being a female, it was really difficult. Now, when I graduated from St. Mary's, I went from an all-female, at that time, environment into a male-dominated field. And I'll tell you, the men back there did not want females. And I was constantly having to prove myself to them that I could do the job. And then the few women that they were, you had to prove to the women. I'll tell you, even to the community, when I would go on calls, it was tough to just show them, but I knew I had enough confidence in me. I knew my mom was praying for me, and I'd always pray, say, "Lord, help me." When I got promoted as a sergeant, and here I am, this little Mexican lady, telling, a squad of 8 men what to do, woo, that didn't go over very well. It was tough. I had a sector full of men, and I remember yelling sometimes. I'd get on the curb just so I could, because they were so much taller than me. In order for me to chew them out, I had to stand on the curb or get. But I got my point across. I stayed for 32 years. I survived, so I finally think I proved to everybody that I was capable of doing the job. There was probably, at the time, only 2 Hispanic female officers. I know it was me and Darlene Salinas. Because there weren't that many Hispanic officers and we weren't being placed in specialized units, by forming the Latino Peace Officers Association, we really pushed for recruitment and to get our voices heard. And that's really what got me motivated as far as getting promoted, because I realized as officers we had no voice. When I was promoted to sergeant, I think it was the first that we had like 3 Hispanics get promoted. So we knew we were doing really well. I'm proud of what I've accomplished. I think probably the only thing that I truly regret is not being promoted to captain, because I had set so many goals for myself, and that's one that I couldn't reach. Took the test 5 times, passed, made the list twice, and just never got it. The real reason I wanted to be captain was because I thought that at that position, I would have more power to really put more Hispanics into the department and give the Hispanics that are on the department better jobs, like give them some of the good jobs. It's kind of like the pie, you know. I didn't want all the pie, but I wanted a little slice of pie to put other people there, because there were a lot of people that helped me, and I just wanted to give back. I stayed on as a reserve with the police department. Now I do it for free, which the guys crack up. They say, you're crazy. But I want to stay connected. It's kind of like it's in my blood. It's all I've ever known. So I work part-time now at the Guadalupe Center, do security for the school, and I get to interact with all the young kids. So it's kind of neat. I'm always yelling at the kids, Viva la raza, you know, let's go. Because it is true, you know, that education, boy, knowledge is power. The more educated you are, the more knowledge you get, the more power you have, and you can make a difference.
So this half hour, with the help of Pam James, we've showcased 3 Kansas City women who've made a positive difference in Kansas City. So many more stories, of course, could be told. We thank you for nominating and voting.
And we encourage you to join KCPT this Tuesday night at 7 as we bring you Makers, Women Who Make America, the never-before-told story of women's advancement in America. I hope you'll tune in. I'm Nick Haynes.
And I'm Randy Mason. We'll see you next time on The Local Show.
Principal funding for The Local Show provided by Francis Family Foundation, Frederick and Louise Hartwig Family Fund, Kaufman Foundation, Healthcare Foundation of Greater Kansas City, Johnson County Community College, John and Effie Spees Memorial Trust, Bank of America trustee, Richard J. Stern Foundation for the Arts, Commerce Bank trustee, and KCPT members. Thank you.